How's it going, softball fans? Back at it again. Adam Paul, Braden Soprano here at Mount Carmel High School, where they're taking on the Sun Devils are playing Del Norte Nighthawks. A little bit of an interesting game so far. It was pretty close early, and then Mount Carmel kind of just started pouring it on. What have you noticed so far in today's game?
Mount Carmel playing some small ball there to score some runs. They exploded for 11, 12 runs here. It's now, I believe, in the sixth inning. They're up 11-4 before we came over here to do our thing. So, yeah, Mount Carmel beating a team that they should beat. That's always the key positive right there.
And Del Norte is a team that, they can hang with a lot of good teams in the county. They've done it in the past. They're about 500 squad, but about the third inning, it was 3-3. Del Norte was able to tie it up, and then Mount Carmel, like I said, playing small ball where they had multiple times where you got runners in first and third, getting a rundown, score a run. A couple bunt hits. A lot of small ball, like you were saying, of just trying to manufacture runs, and sometimes that's how you beat some teams sometimes, and that's how a lot of teams like Mount Carmel can beat a team like a Claremont or maybe a Santana in the playoffs, because they'll all be in D2, which is going to be an intriguing playoff matchup. So let's get into our top 10 real quick. We got a couple receiving votes here. Brawley kind of dropped out of our top 10 after a not so stellar week last week, but they're right there with Southwest El Centro. Shout out to the Imperial Valley for tuning into our podcast. We appreciate it, and we'll give you as much love as you guys deserve. So Southwest El Centro, Brawley, two teams that are just right outside the top 10, playing great ball out there in the Imperial County. What can you say about these squads?
Brawley, Coach Kearns out there, he sent me an email appreciating the love. They've won 4 of their last 5, including 2 wins against Helix and Santana. So that's 2 good wins against East County teams, especially against Santana, who was the number 1 team in Division 2. Right now, Brawley jumped up when I checked this morning to number 2 in Division 2. So that's going to be key right there to be one of the top 2 seeds in Division 2. As far as Southwest El Centro, they're still one of the favorites for Division 3. They've won 2 in a row. They beat Brawley 3-0. They're in second place right now, behind Central Union. Central Union the other day clinched at least a share of the league title down there for the Imperial Valley League. So congrats to them. Like I said, it's back and forth, just like the Grossmont League.
Just like the Grossmont League, just like the Metro League, just like the Palomar League here. There's so many races coming down. And even if it's not 1-2 or 1-2 and 3, maybe 3, 4, and 5 are all battling to try to get as much of a, the best ranking that they possibly can in the final standings. Let's get to the second half of the top 10. Number 10, Santana. They've been all over the place here in the top 10. They've been as high as 3, and I guess in as low as 10 now. They dropped from 7 to 10. Kind of struggling right now. Then we got Grossmont, a new team, into the top 10. They've been knocking on the door the whole year trying to crack the top 10. They finally done it. They beat Santana last week. They've had a lot of good wins and played some pretty good ball. Bonita Vista, kind of flying under the radar team out there in the Metro League. They're getting a lot of wins against teams like Olympian and Eastlake and teams that you think they should be losing to, but Bonita's doing a great job. And then you got Rancho Buena Vista and Claremont. Claremont dropped. RBV went up after a pretty huge week last week. Who can you point out to us in this lower half of the top 10?
Grossmont, they've won 8 of 9. Avenged their loss the other day to Santana 4-0. Kati Contreras hit her 6th home run. RBV, they've won 6 in a row, including 13-2 against Mission Hills and 8-6 versus Westview, who we saw beat Poway, interestingly enough. So, again, on any given day. Paige Dimler, the freshman, blasted her 11th home run, which is, I believe, is second in the county to Colleen Sullivan of Poway, who has 13, I believe.
Versus 13 and counting.
Yeah, 13 and counting.
I'm sure she's hit like 3 more since we started this podcast.
Yeah. No, she hit 14. I think she hit like 14 now, probably.
So many we can't even keep track.
Dimler blasted that home run in the 8-2 win over the Cougars of Escondido. It's just everybody's doing things. Claremont, they defeated OLP the other day 3-0. They lost a couple games. They lost to Granite Hills 1-0 on Saturday and 5-4 versus Mira Mesa last week. So we'll see what happens in those middling teams right there.
Yeah, Claremont's kind of just like the top dog in their league, not really getting tested as much. Beaver Mason beat them and what have you, but it's going to come down to can they beat a team like Granite? Only losing 1-0 is pretty impressive, but they were at 4, losing to Granite. It's going to drop them a little bit.
It's gonna help for their playoff run because Claremont right there is flip-flopping back and forth with both Santana and Brawley for the top 3 seeds in Division 2. So that close loss to Granite shows that they can play with anybody. Of course, they beat Santana 2-0 earlier at the Cougar Classic. So there you go.
Yeah, and if you're Claremont or any team in D2, you don't want to travel out to Brawley or Southwest, any school out there in the Imperial Valley. You want to get that home field advantage. At least, and if you get a top 4 seed, at least solidify. You don't have to go out to Brawley for a semifinal game
and meet them. Maybe if they're not, hopefully they're not also on the side of your bracket. You'd want to meet them at the Sportsplex in the semifinals. So.
Yeah, that's why you want to be a top 4 team. Let's get into the top half of our top 10. Modern Day Catholic is just bumped into there. They're now at number 5. They're kind of on a tear now. They got Sosa back. She's pitching well, so they're back in it. Poway, number 4, kind of dropped 1 spot after last week just because they lost to Westview, but they're still a pretty team, a team that you have to be, to reckon with. Granite Hills is on fire right now. I think they've won like 8 or something games in a row, something unbelievable last week. And then San Marcos and Cathedral, the top 2 teams. That have been the top 2 teams the whole year.
Yeah. Granted, again, props to Poway. They avenged their 5-4 loss that we saw versus Westview. Beat LCC and Mount Carmel. Sullivan, like I said, 13, 14 home runs on the season. Modern Day with Lexi Sosa's coming back, South Bay. They beat both Olympian and Bonita Vista. Close games, fun games, as Coach Gross told us from Olympian. Granite Hills 14 in a row now after their win yesterday. If they beat West Hills on Friday, they can clinch at least a share. They'll clinch a share of the Grossmont Hills league title for about the third year in a row. And then of course your top 2 teams, San Marcos has hit 44 home runs, CIF section record, and of course Ferramo and the Dons. So there you go.
There you go. Not really too much to be said about the top 2 teams, or not really even the top 4 teams because they're pretty much the same the whole year. We had Granite up there earlier in the year and they kind of struggled, but they're back to their old ways of winning games. Breakdown again, it's pretty neutral. 3 for North County, 2 for City, 2 for South Bay, and 3 for East County. All over the map. Again, proving that softball out here is very good. Let's talk about last week. You went 3-2 last week. Not as good as the weeks before, but it's all right. And then I went 4-1. Again, I killed you with picking the City League against East County. It just seems to happen all the time, man. So that was my 1 win over you. I went 4-1. The other one we had where we both lost was Olympian. We both thought Olympian to beat Bonita, but again, Bonita, we're not giving them as much love as they deserve because they just keep flying under the radar and making things happen.
Yeah, Olympian. Don't count them out. They're they'll pick up. They're getting Coach Gross is preparing them for the playoffs. They're playing close. Not quite pulling out those wins like the other day. They lost 7-6 to Modern Day, but you know what? At least they played the Crusaders tough. Everybody's just playing tough ball right now, preparing for the last week and a half of the regular season. All
right, let's get into this week's picks. We got a couple games here. Forgot to text them to you, so you might be surprised here, but it's gonna be fun. We're gonna natural picking. Claremont at Santana. I'm pretty sure you probably had this in mind for maybe next week. It's a pretty big game. 2 D2 teams battling it out, both top 10. Number 6 Claremont, number 10 Santana. Games at Santana on Monday at 3:30. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with Claremont, actually.
Oh, he is. He's going against the Sultans. The last time he went against the Sultans, he won the pick.
And just because of what's happened. I mean, they've rebounded. The Chieftains have played pretty good ball of late. Santana's lost 4 of 5. That makes a difference. I know the game's at home, and you know what? This game will probably determine that number 1 seed in the Division II playoffs. So I think the Chieftains, right there, I like their pitching. I really, really do.
I'm taking Santana. The last time I picked Santana and you didn't, you won and I didn't. I think it's going to change this time. I think Santana bounces back. They get a nice win against Claremont. They clinch the number 1 seed, and then they get back to their winning ways. So I'm going to go with the Sultans. The other game on Monday, they were going to pick Mirror Mesa at OLP. City League game. Mirror Mesa, they played well. They've beaten Claremont already this year, and then OLP is kind of battling right there at 500. That game's at 3:30 at Our Lady of Peace on Monday. Like I said, the Marauders or the Pilots.
Having not seen any of these two teams, not in any of the tournaments, I'm gonna go with Mirror Mesa just because they beat Christian the other day. They beat Christian this year. They beat Claremont last week or a couple weeks ago, whatever it was. I got to go with the Marauders.
I'm going with the Marauders as well. Let's get into Tuesday. San Marcos at Rancho Buena Vista. Pretty intriguing matchup as, San Marcos number 2 in the county. RBV's been pretty hot as of late. They're number 7 in the county. Game's at 3:30 on Tuesday at Rancho Buena Vista. As much as I'd love to take the Longhorns, I can't go against the Knights right now with San Marcos. They're playing incredibly well. They've only lost 2 games all year, and I'm pretty sure both of them were out of town. So I'm going to go with the Knights.
Got to go with the Knights. I mean, I know Paige Dimwer, the freshman, and Stephanie, the pitcher for RBV, are looking for revenge. But you know what? Got to go with the Knights, man. That batting lineup 1 through 9 just hits jacks like crazy. So got to go with the Knights.
Got to go, but like you said, we saw Poway lose to Westview. Anything can happen, so we're not counting you out, Rancho Buena Vista. I think you could do it, but it's just the wise pick is to pick San Marcos in this particular case. Granite Hills, Santana. I know we got 2 Santana games this week. I know you're going to be thrilled and probably going to be at this game next Wednesday, May 9th at 4 o'clock at Santana. Another home game for them. It's a pretty tough week for the Sultans this week. That being said, I am going to take Granite Hills. They've been hot of late. What did you say? They won 14 games in a row, something crazy like that. I think they continue their winning streak.
Got to go with the Eagles, man. I know Granite came back to beat the Sultans 6-5 the last time at Granite. The Sultans blew a late lead in that pivotal 6th inning, which always seems to be the inning for the Eagles. But with the bats of the Eagles being more consistent of late, and the pitching, I think Dobbs will be back healthy. I know Chambers is really good, Stacey Chambers there. But, with Dobbs coming back, I think she might pitch next week. I'm not 100% sure. It's either her or Chambers. Doesn't matter, I don't think. Granite, that game will decide the league title if, they take care of business this Friday against the Wolfpack.
Going against the Sultans twice in the same week. I'm disappointed in you, Adam. I'm very disappointed. Let's go to the we're going to pick 6 games this week instead of 5. There's a game on Thursday, Mater Dei Catholic at Bonita. Big game in the Metro League. I'm going to go with Mater Dei Catholic. And as much as I've been saying, you got to give Bonita Vista love. They're flying on the radar. Mater Dei is doing really well right now.
Got to go with the Crusaders. Lexi Sosa, she's a big game pitcher. I think Coach Mike and the Crusaders. Sosa, big game pitcher. Like you said, Bonita's been playing pretty well of late, but I think the Crusaders, coming off their wins this past week, should be able to pull it out.
Last time I heard a pitcher was big game, he gave up a home run to Bartolo Colon. So let's try to use that a little lightly in this particular sense. Central at Brawley is the last game we're going to pick. Shout out to the Imperial Valley out there. Game's on Friday, May 11th at 6 o'clock under the lights. Well, days are getting longer now, so not really under the lights, but an evening game out there, Central at Brawley. I'm going to take the Wildcats at Brawley.
Got to go with the Wildcats, man.
Central's got a share in the title.
I know, but I like Coach Kearns and the Wildcats. They're pitching, they're hitting of late. It's been really good to see and everything.
I also sent you an email this week.
I understand that. But which I appreciate. At least somebody's paying attention to our podcast.
That's true. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
But Wildcats looking to, nail their place in Division II playoff seeding. I think they still have a shot possibly in the top 2. So with that'll be a huge win, I think.
I got the Wildcats as well. So let's that's our game picks. We'll see how we do. I'm running a hot streak right now. Hopefully I can get this done. You owe me a burrito, by the way, and I heard it's some what's that place out in Santee?
Estrada's.
Yeah, I heard it's got to be from Estrada's. I like Cotillas, but
it's not bad.
We'll talk about East County Mexican food another time. Let's get to our shout-outs real quick. I got Kyla Blanco. I've already gave her a shout-out once this year. She's a junior out at Julian, but she was leading the county in batting average. She still is. It's pushing 700 right now. It's 698, which is top in San Diego County. Unbelievable. So Kyla Blanco, junior out there in Julian, way out there in the Julian, apple picking world, giving you a shout out. Then we got Cassidy West, who you mentioned last podcast at Mission Bay. She's got 31 RBIs, which is third in San Diego. She's also dominant on the mound as well for the Buccaneers out there. Pretty sure she's top 10 in ERA when it comes to that. Another person that's top in the county in ERA is Bella Gonzalez of Tri-City Christian. She's got a 1.30 ERA. Not the best because some of these pitchers are obscene, but the reason why Tri-City Christian is doing so well has to be because of Gonzalez up there pitching a 1.30 ERA. She's a junior at Tri-City. And then my last shout-out, Mariah Williams, junior at Madison. I'm pretty sure I gave her a shout-out earlier this year again for stolen bases, but she's got 49 stolen bases on the year, top in San Diego. The next best girl to have stolen bases has 26, just to put it in perspective.
That's compared to last year when Carmina Nichols out of High Tech High San Diego stole like 100 bases. And I'm not joking about that. She stole like close to 100 bases last year.
Ricky Henderson type number.
Yeah, seriously. And she's at Stanford, so she's pretty quick. My shout-outs are, this week. First one is Haley Johnson out of Granite Hills. She batted .625 with 3 doubles, jacked 3 home runs, drove in 11 RBIs while scoring 3 runs this past week. She was also named to the all-tournament team for the Hilltop tournament, which the Eagles won. So she did really well last week. So kudos to Haley Johnson, Granite Hills. Second shout-out, Coach Kearns, I hope I get this right. Michaelin Emanuele out of Brawley, freshman against both Helix and Santana, went 4 for 7 with 4 RBIs, a double and a triple. On the year, she's batting .406 with 21 RBIs and has scored 12 runs. So kudos to Michaelin. This one is actually to a team, Central, who he's talked about, Central Spartans. 9-0 in the Imperial League and have clinched at least a tie for the league crown. Coach Acosta has done a great job with this Spartan team. Last season they had a losing record, and this year to turn around and to have a chance to win the league outright, that's a great job on his part. And then finally, my other last shout out is to a person that Ramona, Alexa Neal, Ramona's kind of been, hasn't really been talked about this year, considering that, they've been up and down,
Not a typical Ramona season.
No, definitely not. She went 3 for 3 with 3 runs, 2 RBIs, a double and a triple against Mission Hills in that 12-5 win. 2 for 4 with 3 runs and RBI against Fallbrook in that victory. On the year, she's batting .646 with 51 hits, which leads the county, I believe. 32 runs, 17 doubles. She's quietly having another stellar year for the Bulldogs, and it's actually, this is really interesting, she's had a hit in every single game so far, so she's on like a 20-something game hitting streak.
Beat Ted Williams?
Could be. 406, a little over 400,
You never know,
yeah.
Especially at this level. So that's it for this week edition of the Softball Podcast. Be sure to check out all of our videos on YouTube, and you can now listen to the podcast on SoundCloud, so you can listen to it in your car when you're driving around. So for Adam Paul, I'm Braden Brennan. We'll see you guys next week.